My shiny objects have shiny objects. That how easy it is for me to be distracted. And this is something that I've dealt with my entire life. When I was a teenager and I'd be sent to clean up my room, it would be possible for me over the course of 45 minutes to touch every single thing that was in my room, and my room would be no cleaner. To the point that I would literally, while cleaning, go pick up the socks, pick up the socks, pick up the socks, organize the papers, organize the papers, organize the papers, because that was the only way I could stay focused. Now today, as an adult running a business on my own, I'm able to manage my time and attention better, but not perfectly. It's still something that I have to think about. And it's really easy to not stay focused, to be chasing all sorts of shiny objects. So today in the podcast, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the way I ask myself questions to set myself up to take action to help me to stay more focused. This is Monterastelli. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 623, originally aired August 7th, 2024. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. Now, one of the reasons why 11 years ago I moved to New York City was for all of the amazing opportunities that the city has to offer. The culture, the food, the people. Like, if you can do it in a city, you can do it in New York City. And that can be really great, except for everything that comes along with it. It is an expensive, crowded, dirty, overwhelming city that, if you don't love it, it's not a place for you. And even if you're not in a place like New York that has this amazing buffet of options, you are probably in a circumstance where you are confronted with new opportunities in your life, new things in your personal life, hobby, work, and it can be hard sometimes not to chase shiny objects. Because it's really easy to take action at the beginning of something when we're starting out and we're excited, and it's really easy to take action when we're near the end of something because we're about to have success. But we're in that middle point where we're working along, we are making some progress, but it's gotten past fun because we've been at it for a while, and it still feels like there's a long way to go. And when a new shiny object shows up, it's really, really easy to be distracted. So today what I want to do is I want to share with you the 5 questions I ask myself before I add something new to my life. And I'm going to show you exactly how I tap, particularly with question number 5, to make these tools and these questions even more powerful. Now, I just mentioned tapping, and if you are new to tapping and have no idea what it is, tapping is this absolutely amazing tool that I use daily for myself when I'm making decisions like this, but it's also something I use with my clients every single day as well. It's super easy to use, and if you are new to tapping, all you need to do is go to learntotap.com. I'll give you all of the basics and all of the instruction, and if you follow the little red arrow in the upper right-hand corner, it will take you to learntotap.com so you can add this amazing tool to your life. About 5 years ago, I was looking at what I was doing in my business. And I recognized the fact, like I just mentioned a little earlier before, where I had lots and lots of really cool projects in my business that were half done. And I was trying to figure out why this was the case. And I knew that I have a tendency to be a little distracted, but there had to be something more than that. And so if you've been following me for any length of time, you know I love a process, you know I love to do some analysis. So I went back and I looked at what was going on. And the first question I asked myself was I choosing to do the wrong things? Because sometimes we could choose to do something, and as we spend more time with it, we come to the realization that it isn't the right choice for us. And that's great, and it's good, and it's actually good to let go of the things that are no longer useful. I think sometimes because we've committed to something, we stay with it too long, and that can actually be a detriment to us. And I had lots of these half-done projects. I used to describe them as I have an entire subdivision of houses that are 60% built, which you can't move into any of them. And as I was doing the analysis and I was looking at each of the projects I was working on, almost all of them were really, really good projects. There were things that I enjoyed. There were things that were useful. There were things that, if time and energy was no issue, I would love to bring them to completion. So then what I realized was, it's not an issue of what I'm choosing to do. It's how many things I am choosing to do. Because I am sure you are like me, that your life is full. It wasn't like I was just sitting in the middle of the afternoon twiddling my thumbs, wondering how I was going to spend my time, and then all of a sudden a project shows up. My life is full, my business is full, my personal life is full. And so when I'm adding something new, where am I supposed to put it? And so what I did is I sat down and I thought about this and I realized, okay, before I add anything new in my life, I'm going to ask myself 5 questions. And if I can effectively answer these 5 questions in a way that is useful for me, then I'm going to add this new thing to my life. So here are the 5 questions. Question number 1, is this a good idea? Now, more often than not, when I think of something, it's a good idea. It might not be the greatest idea in the history of the world, but it's a good idea. And sometimes an idea will cross my mind and it won't be a good idea. Like, you should open a restaurant that only serves cereal. That's probably not a good idea, and that's just a silly thought that runs through your mind in the middle of the night. So, number 1, is it a good idea? Number 2, is it a good idea for me? There are lots and lots and lots of really good ideas out there in the world. And some of the ideas I come up with, I realize, oh, this is awesome for my sister, for my colleague, for my friend, for someone else in the universe that is not me. And so just because something is a good idea doesn't necessarily mean it's a good idea for me. So after I decide it's a good idea, then I have to decide, is it a good idea for me? Question number 3, is it a good idea for me right now? Just because something is a good idea for me doesn't mean that I am able or appropriate for me to be working on it right now. At the beginning of July, as I'm going into my big fundraiser, there's a 24 hours of tapping that is time consuming. Traveling on vacation or starting a new hobby or doing something like that doesn't make a lot of sense. And so I want to look at the context of the moment in my life where that thing is available. It could be a really good idea, but it requires a lot of money. And I don't have the money to do that right now. So is it a good idea for me right now? Question number 4, is it a good idea based on what it's going to cost me to do? So anytime I do something, there is a cost to that. There's the cost of my energy. There's the cost of my time. Sometimes there's the cost of money. Now, for some things, they're really expensive, energy-wise, time-wise, money-wise, and they're absolutely worth it. And some things cost us very little time and energy and money-wise, and they're not worth it at all. And so it can sometimes feel, particularly when we're following things that are heartfelt and our passion, to reduce it down to what is the return on my investment. But I think it's a really important thing for us to consider. Like, if I'm going to invest in this because time and money and energy is not unlimited, then I need to be in a circumstance where I need to decide if it is a good fit for me based on what it's going to cost me to do. And when we do that, we're guessing because we don't always know how long something's going to take. We don't know how hard something's going to be. We don't know how much something's going to cost, but we at least need to be thinking through those ideas. And question number 5, and this is the question that changed everything for me. What am I willing to give up in order to do this? And the reason why this question is so important is to go back to that presupposition that we started with. My time and my life is full. It is not as if I have 8 hours every single week to do something new. There's some weeks I don't have an hour and a half to enter into my life. And so if I'm going to add something to my life, I need to find space for that particular thing. Now, sometimes the thing I'm willing to give up is my sleep. Sometimes the things I'm willing to give up is things that I really, really enjoy. But for anything that is beyond a couple of days or something that is short term, I need to find space in my life to add it in because my plate is already full. The mistake I was making when I ended up with that subdivision of 60% built houses is I just kept going, ooh, another house, ooh, another house, ooh, another house, ooh, another project, ooh, another project, ooh, another project. And so what this then does is it takes the new opportunity in front of me and it puts it in context of everything else in my life. Because something could be a good idea for me right now and worth the time and energy that I'm going to invest in it, but it's less valuable to me than everything else that is going on in my life. And so in a vacuum, it makes sense. In the context of my life, it doesn't. And so when I am presented with this and I decide to do something, there's actually 3 ways that I let go of things. Way number 1 is I let go of something because it's done. I've been taking a class for the last 8 weeks, 2 nights a week, and it's been taking 90 minutes each of those times, and the class is coming to an end. And so since something is ending, it's very easy for me to put something in. Number 2, I can take something and I can put it on hiatus. I'm working on a project right now that I see as valuable, but this new thing is more valuable. So for the next 6 weeks, 2 months, I'm going to take what I'm working on right now and I'm going to put it on hiatus and I'm going to insert the new thing. The third way is I just decide to stop doing something. And that is the really hard one. Because we have all of this attachment to, I've already spent all this time and energy in it. I want to get something out of it. I have made a commitment to do this thing. I've given my word to other people. I have publicly declared this is what I am doing. And if I let go of this, I am a quitter. I'm a failure. I'm not living up to my word. And like we talked about a few minutes ago, there are times in our life where there are things that we have committed to, there are things that we have said are important that are no longer a good fit in our lives. And so we are allowed to change our mind. We are allowed to change our commitments. We are allowed to decide we're going to invest our time and our energy in a different way. And that is emotionally hard. And so for me, this is the step. We can tap in any of the 5 questions, but this is the step where it's really important for me to do some tapping because of the cultural and emotional baggage that I carry around commitment and my word and how I'm going to be seen by others. And so here is just a sample, and I'd encourage you to tap along with me of how I tap when I'm struggling to let something go. So take a nice deep breath, tap on the side of your hand. And what I want you to do, if it's safe and comfortable for you as you're consuming this, I want you to think about something that you probably should let go. Even before we decide we're going to stick something in there, I'd be willing to bet there's something in your life that you know no longer serves you and it's time to let it go. And I want you to tune into trying to let that go. I want you to pay attention to the tension. The part of you that's saying, no, you can't quit. Winners never quit, quitters never win. I gave my word. People are going to think I'm letting them down. Just tune into all of that. And what we're going to do is we're going to tap. And if you're in a place that you can tap along with me, I'd encourage you to do it. Tap on the points that make the most sense for you. And if it is safe and comfortable, and only if it's safe and comfortable, I'd really encourage you to say the phrases out loud as we tap through this. I recognize the fact there is something in my life that it makes sense for me to let go of. That for some reason, it is no longer a good fit. It has changed. I have changed. My context has changed. It's not giving me what I thought. What I need is different. For whatever reason, it is no longer a good fit for me. And letting it go is hard. Because I've already committed time and energy to this. And if I let this go, it's going to feel like I've wasted time and energy. And there's a part of me that believes that I made a commitment, even if it was just to myself, and I need to live up to my word. And I appreciate the fact that there is a part of me that wants to be consistent, that wants to live up to my word. And at the exact same time, I recognize the fact I'm allowed to change my mind. I'm not abandoning a commitment, but instead I'm committing to myself to invest my time and energy in such a way that I'm getting the most out of my life. Living up to a commitment that no longer serves me is wasting my life, is wasting my time, is wasting my energy. I give myself permission to know I am allowed to change my mind. I also am worried that other people are going to judge me and question me for changing my mind. They might think I'm flaky or unreliable or out of integrity. And changing my mind doesn't mean I'm not taking responsibility for the outcome of changing my mind. But I give myself permission to know, even when other people notice, I am allowed to change my mind. Nice big deep breath. Now, we touched on a number of things inside of there. Being allowed to change our mind, living up to our commitments, how other people are going to judge us, getting energy back to make sure that we're not wasting our time and our energy in the past. And that's just skimming across the surface of those four. And I would be willing to bet there are a lot more of them that are percolating around inside of you, because there are a lot more issues that percolate around inside of me. And so what I would encourage you to do to figure out what those issues are, pen, paper, write this down. You don't want to lose these. But I'm going to take a nice big deep breath. I'm going to think about changing my mind and changing my commitment. And I'm going to finish 2 sentences. It is not safe for me to change my mind because, and I want you to make a list of every single thing that comes up. And do that, sit with it. Then when you finish that, then say, I'm not allowed to change my mind because, and sit with that and have everything that comes up. And so now what you've done is you have just created this super powerful list of the resistances that exist during inside of you. Because in the end, you have 3 choices. Number 1, you can add more things to your life without taking things away, which is probably going to lead to overwhelm and lots of incomplete projects. Number 2, you can simply decide your life is too full and not add anything new and miss out on amazing opportunities that are put in front of you. Or number 3, you can do the work. You can pay attention to the resistance to changing your mind. You can respond to that resistance. And as you clear that resistance, it will make it easier for you to let go of the things that no longer serve you and add the things that serve you today. And the things that you're adding that serve you today might not serve you tomorrow, but that's okay as well. That's why we have a process like this. And so for me, that third way is the hardest way, but that third way is the best way. Because it means I'm going to be making choices and filling my time and spending my energy on the things that align with who I am today, not who I was a year ago, not who I was a decade ago, not who I was as a child. Because I am changing, I'm evolving, and I'm allowed to change my life around it in that particular way. So again, the 5 questions are, is this a good idea? Is this a good idea for me? Is this a good idea for me right now? Is it worth the time and energy to invest in doing this thing? And what am I willing to give up to do that? If you ask those 5 questions, if you deal with the emotional resistance that comes up inside of that, it is going to make it so much easier for you to create a life that you love, where you don't feel overwhelmed, you don't feel stretched thin, and you don't end up with a subdivision of houses that are only 60% built. If you have enjoyed this, you might know someone in your life who would enjoy it as well. Please be our ambassador, pass it along. We always joke about the fact that our marketing budget is your word of mouth, and there might be someone in your life who could really appreciate this today. If you pass it along to them, even if they don't listen to the 5 questions, the fact that you've reached out and said, I'm thinking of you today so you have a better life, they're going to appreciate that. Their day is going to be a little bit better, which makes the world better. And we always say it sounds cheesy, and we always know it feels cheesy, but we also know, and you know, it is true. Share this or share any resource with someone in your life. Let them know you're thinking about them today. As you look at the screen right now, you can actually see every single episode of the Tapping Q&A podcast in video form. Click on that playlist, go back, watch some of the other stuff, and I look forward to talking to you and tapping with you again real soon. Bye-bye.